Right. Looks like it's 6 o'clock. Convene a meeting of the San Lorenzo Valley Water District for April 16th, 2026. Lee, would you please take roll?
President Russ,
Here.
Director Largay,
Yes.
Director Smalley,
Here.
and Director Volts.
Here. Okay, any changes to the closed session agenda?
There are no changes.
Okay, none from directors. Any oral communications, anybody online?
One person online, their hand's not up.
Okay, and no one here publicly. So we will adjourn the closed session and or adjourn for the closed session. Okay.
Do it to what?
All right. I'd like to reconvene the board meeting of the San Lorenzo Valley Water District at 6:30. Do I ask you to take roll again, right? Okay, thank you.
President Russ,
Here.
Vice President Lane,
Here and in person.
Yay.
Director Largay,
Here.
Director Smalley,
Here.
and Director Volts.
Here.
Okay, no reportable actions coming out of closed session. So we move on to the public session. Any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
No changes, okay, none from directors. Any public comments?
Nobody with their hand up.
No one with their hand up, no one here. Okay. So let's no unfinished business. So we are moving on to new business. To the ward on call special inspection. Okay.
And engineering manager Garrett Roth will be taking care of that one.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, President Rust and members of the board for allowing staff to present the district's on-call special inspection contract award. With the large amount of construction projects on the board-approved 5-year capital improvement program, the district has a need to have a firm that is on-call that can verify the completed work is in conformance with specification requirements. It's important that the special inspector is hired by the owner and not employed by the general contractor to provide objective results of the completed work. The district published the request for qualifications to provide special inspection and testing services in February of 2026. The RFQ is posted on the district website. Anybody can go review it. Section 5 of the RFQ is consultant selection and includes the evaluation criteria. So understanding of scope of work requested was weighted at 15%. Experience with similar kinds of work was weighted at 20%. Proposed compensation schedule and project estimate was weighted at 50%. The quality of staff assigned to the project was weighted at 10%, and the firm's local experience was weighted at 5%.
I'm so sorry, Garrett.
Yeah.
Can you go over those numbers again?
Yeah, so you can go on our website and you can review this.
Okay.
It's section 5 of the RFQ. So understanding of scope of work is 15%. experience with similar kinds of work is 20%. Proposed compensation schedule and project estimates, 50%. Quality of staff assigned to projects, 10%. Firm's local experience, 5%.
Thank you.
No problem. The district received 5 responses. As far away as Concord and Hayward, and 2 firms from San Jose. And we did receive 1 firm from Santa Cruz County. Now, the selection process, as indicated in the request for qualifications, indicates that it is anticipated that the district will enter into an agreement with the highest ranking firm. However, the district reserves the right to consider other factors such as overall cost and may select any qualified applicant, regardless of the assigned rank. The district will enter into negotiations with the selected firm. If the district is not able to negotiate agreement that is fair and reasonable in the district's sole discretion, it reserves the right to select an alternate firm. The selected firm must enter into a written agreement using the district's standard professional services agreement, which is found as in the appendix. Ultimately, the board can decide which proposal is best and the amount of the not to exceed. However, only one of the firms is located in Santa Cruz County. Staff has determined Hara Kucinich is the best qualified. They've helped the district on numerous projects. Past projects like Altavia, Probation Tank, the Consolidation Project, the peer review of the Keyvine constructability analysis. Hara Kucinich was trusted with all those projects in the past. They even were brought in on the Quail Hollow Road repairs when we went with a different firm. And those repairs are still in use today. Hara Kucinich is currently the geotechnical engineer record for Lionslide, which staff is forecasting for work this summer. Redwood Park Tank, which is currently under contract and under construction. Highland Tank, which is currently under construction. Echo Tank, and Lost Acre Tank, which could be a project possibly next summer. So having the geotechnical engineer record on the project anyway, they can go ahead and perform special inspection tasks while they're there. Taking concrete cylinders, making the reports for the pull testings, because even if we hire another firm from Concord or Walnut Creek or San Jose, Hara Kucinich will still be involved in these projects as the geotechnical engineer of record. So it does make sense to hire Hara Kucinich. So with that, I can take any questions you have.
Thank you, Garrett.
Yep.
Bob, would you like to start?
Sure. Garrett, while I appreciate the 150 pages of detail in the proposal, at a board level, it's really helpful to get more of a summary of some of the things you went through right now as part of the board packet. I appreciate the fact that the RFQ may be on the website, but again, when we come to this kind of thing, at least in my opinion, we need to be dealing with it as a sort of a compact thing where you bring relevant summary information to bear. So I have a few questions that will hopefully get me to a better place. Which firm was the local one again?
Hara Kucinich and Associates.
Okay. Were they the lowest cost?
No, they were not the lowest cost.
Who was the lowest cost?
I believe the lowest cost was Twinning.
And they're like 1 point difference. And where is Twining located?
They are located in Concord.
And is the staff member that they would have out here if we needed them? Would they be charging for travel time and coming from Concord?
Yes.
So how did you determine from a pricing point of, I mean, they're very close, but I can't tell what the difference is here. So I'm really kind of struggling as to, well, where did they fall down 1 point?
Well, they're both qualified. Either firm could do the job for us. Matter of
Okay.
fact, all 5 firms can do the job for us.
Okay, well, that's actually good to know.
Yeah,
So what accounted for the difference between Twining and Haro Kucinich, the 1 point difference? I mean,
it's just essentially the same score.
okay. I'm
So
really,
maybe a
I'm really
slight
struggling
preference
here,
for the
Garrett.
local guy, basically, right?
Yeah,
I
so
mean, it
local
sounds-
consideration,
Sounds like you just want to go with the local guy.
local consideration was 5% of the overall score.
Do we know if the guy that's coming actually works in Concord? Does he live in San Jose? I mean, where, I mean, and did you guys go through and figure out, is that travel time significant relative to the overall cost?
So the way that the professional services agreement works is we give them a not to exceed amount. It's not a lump sum contract. So what that means
Okay.
is they bill hourly
Yeah, I
against
understand.
that not to exceed amount. So when they give you an estimate of cost, that doesn't mean that's what they're going to get paid.
No, I understand all that. I do that for a living, actually,
Sure.
Garrett. So I'm pretty familiar with how that works.
So typically what happens is once you reach the not to exceed amount, we have a choice to make.
But I also
We can
know that,
stop work
for
or we can give them
example,
more money.
for example, in my business, I don't charge full rate for travel.
Okay.
Right, it's 50%, basically, because I'm on the phone usually with other clients, and I charge them during that time. So I don't usually charge the client I'm traveling to see full boat because of that, or I'm doing other work. Are they going to be charging full boat coming from Concord or wherever it is this guy's going to be coming from?
We could ask them to charge less than full boat for travel time, but my understanding is they will charge the
Okay.
hourly rate.
All right, well, but that's part of the evaluation of that. Clearly, price was not an issue with them then, if they came in 1 point difference.
In,
How
well, in
much
fact,
less-
just to put it on the table, they're 40% less.
Yes.
Well, that's
Significant.
Pretty
That's-
significant.
that's pretty, I mean, these are the kinds of things, I mean, I appreciate you guys going and do that. I looked at 150 pages and said, I think the engineering manager should be the one to bring this information forward. Candidly.
Yeah.
It would save all of us a lot of time.
So just to put the numbers on the table,
Right.
Haro and Company was, I think, 191.
That's what I added.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I got. And then Twinnings is 118.
Well, that's
I
pretty darn significant.
I'm sorry, was it 118, Garrett, for Twining, or I added 129?
Well, it was 86 and 31.
Yeah, I mean, we can look it up.
But,
It's in the-
Well, that's kind of something that, I think should actually be in the board packet.
117, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay, 117, okay. 117 and AEC. I looked at what you scored as the top 3. AEC, I added at 132. So, to fall, because I'm asking almost the same questions that Director Foltz is before you come to me with, if HKA is 50% more than these other 2 firms, why would we go with HKA? In particular, if Twining is 1 point difference and AEC is, in my mind, not substantially lower for a type of service that I consider a commodity. It's not brain power intensive.
And this is only if our current staff
Right.
is not able to deal with a particular project.
Qualifications.
Okay.
We're not, I don't think that Wes is certified in any
For inspection?
aspects.
No.
Right, okay, but that is a follow-up question.
Okay, because I thought Weston was doing like the tank.
Yeah.
So what they're doing
Yeah.
as far as that is a daily site log.
Okay,
So that's the kind of inspection they're doing. They don't have a nuclear gauge to test the density of the compaction. That requires special machinery, special insurance. You got to take concrete samples and then take them and crush them in a machine. There's a lot of specialty for these inspections.
A lot of brake testing, a lot of nuclear testing, a lot of geotechnical.
Yeah, it's not something that Weston can do.
Yeah, or our other guys.
No, they have a different role.
Okay, so, and that role is still required regardless. That is.
Yeah, they're making a record every day.
Okay.
Who's on the job? What's happening? What equipment's on the job? Did it rain? Was it sunny? Was there an issue that came up? Did somebody hit a mailbox? That kind of thing.
Yeah, because I mean, when we were sold on the construction inspector, it was like, well, these guys will take care of everything, and you know, we won't have to hire consultants.
But
And so
that-
now I'm hearing it's a little bit
let me,
different.
that was not my understanding.
Well,
When
It was going to be substantially.
It is substantial,
It
but
is.
this was an aspect that I do remember being pointed out.
Okay, well,
Our
anyway,
previous engineering manager was bringing that construction inspector concept to us
Mhm.
to hire internally. And it was to offset another firm, not this specialty testing sub
Okay.
aspect, but it was construction management in the field, which
Yes.
Wes is doing.
Exactly.
So that's how it was presented to us. So that's how it was presented to us.
I know.
Just to get this back on track.
Anyway,
So,
we get
so,
things
yeah,
to get
We
back
can
on
get
track.
off. of-
okay, so
Yes.
I think
I mean, you know, when I don't see numbers actually in the summary, I start getting a little bit concerned that maybe there's numbers there that would be interesting. And that is interesting numbers.
Yeah.
I expect that to come to the board
maybe as a general,
transparently and concretely.
Yeah, it's the whole proposal's in the packet for you.
well,
Garrett, to ask me to go through 150 pages
okay,
is disrespectful of the board time and our role,
I'm
All right.
sorry you feel that.
no, okay, hold on.
in
Um,
my opinion.
I do think in the future guidance that we would offer you, Garrett, is if you gave us the full decision matrix, you gave us the result, but it would be great to see each of these 5 categories that you gave us the weighting for, and then how did each of these 5 companies, what were their numbers in each one?
Yeah, I would
Because that would
say
be a great summary.
any score, if you gave it to all these proposals to 5 different people, you get 5 different matrices.
No, I appreciate that,
Yeah.
but you scored them. And
Right.
so as a
Yes.
board, we want to
The
see,
assistant engineer score.
oh, well, and that's great, but like the costs, you're not doing any judgment there. It's just the number, right? It's like 118 for, Twinings and et cetera. So seeing that decision matrix, because none of us knew what the numbers were.
I will say this,
Yeah.
I'm very happy to see that we're at least up to 50% on cost for the evaluation of these. I would still like to see it go higher, but I'm at least happy that we started out somewhere around 25, I think, when I first was on the board,
Yeah.
and we're now up to 50. That is a very, very positive thing, no question about it.
Yeah.
But at this point, I don't see any reason why we'd go with Par Kucinich other than that we're comfortable with them, we like them, we know them, and we're willing to pay the premium, the VIG, because of that. That doesn't work for me. So
Yeah.
Pointing is, look, what do we have to lose here? I like the fact that we have more than a handful of suppliers. I like the fact that people bid on this. I don't want people to get the sense that they bid in these things, but it goes to the bros,
The incumbent.
to the incumbents all the time.
Yeah.
They obviously put together a proposal. They put together some numbers here that make sense. You say they're qualified. Why would we not use them? It doesn't make any sense to me. So,
Whether
we could table this for now, unless there's some urgency. And you could bring back a more robust summary, or we could talk about the pricing
can modify
relative
it,
to
yeah.
that.
Could award to anybody on the list.
Yeah.
Right,
exactly.
Could we go through the process?
Yeah. So
Yes, I do want to go through.
Yeah.
Other questions that I have also,
Right.
and I think Brian
I think
apparently does
all of
also.
us do.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So Bob, if you're.
Yeah, no, I'm taking
Okay.
enough time. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
there's
All
others.
Okay,
Mark, why don't you, why
sure.
don't you go for it?
Most of what I was going to express, I put out already. That I think between Twining and AEC, if further discussions with both of them get to a point that you feel travel from Concord is a significant enough factor, then travel from San Jose means we shouldn't deal with the lowest, but that we could deal with somebody like AEC. Or to Bob's point, if you can get concurrence from them that either one, no, they don't charge us for travel.
Or fold those.
They don't charge us for travel. Let me finish it. Or that they will charge only one way, half of it, as a means to get another client, being us. And then weigh the cost, and weigh the responses from those firms. But I think the difference of 191,000 for this to 117 is significant enough to say that we should be scratching our heads further about that. So that's my thought on that aspect of it. The other aspect is something that Bob was alluding to as to, well, can our existing staff do this? And I recognize that currently no. But I look at the different aspects of specialty testing that are being required in this. And I think that one of the most significant categories is compaction testing. And as you're pointing out, Garrett, compaction testing requires a nuclear density gauge to go out there and do the tests. But I'd like some thought being put into what does it take to get certified, to be a certified inspector to do that? What would it take equipment-wise? Because if it's a simple nuclear density gauge, I don't think that's a restriction.
$13,000.
Okay. But if you were bringing one of these tanks to us, we wouldn't be asking that question. But when you're bringing a package of 3 to us with this much, I see that much compaction testing, in the area. And we need to have that kind of testing done on some or a number of other projects when that happens. So if the availability of time is there from staff, having somebody, so I'll ask staff, pursue that option at some point to see if that's a possibility. And I also want to say, well, the RFP is on the website and the evaluation criteria is part of the website. And if we had wanted to, we could have. I didn't know any of that. So I want to echo Director Foltz's point also with, it could have been a more complete evaluation of what was being presented to the board. I don't care about the resumes of all of these different, I don't care about all of the different projects that they've worked on for this level of it. If you're saying, yes, they're qualified, I want to see the higher level information of the cost summary and the evaluation criteria. So that's my question, thoughts on it. So I'll pass it on to other board members to ask.
Online certification for a few $100.
Right. So
Alina,
I don't want to use that.
would you like to
Yeah,
comment?
no, I appreciate everything everyone has said before this. I guess I was really confused when I was reading their proposals about why each line item had travel time assigned to it, even though it seemed like you said they're already going to be there, and that it seems like multiple of these tests could probably be done at once. But why was the travel time connected to each task?
Well, I would say, they're making an estimate, so it's just their best guess. And if they have to drive from their office to the job site, wherever that is, or they have to drive from their office to the fabricator shop where the welding's gonna happen,
Mm,
they bill for that time.
okay. And I mean, this is just for my being able to understand this. They're talking about like multiple year testing. That's what we do, multiple year testings on these things.
So this is a 3-year contract so that we can have around $75,000 a year for have somebody on call when, something happens and we need to do compaction testing, or we have a new construction project that operations staff's gonna do.
Okay.
We don't have a geotechnical engineer on the project. We can bring out our special inspector.
Got you.
For the
I
next
thought this
year.
was specifically for the tanks, and they were saying
No.
they were going to come back year after year to do, and I was confused on that. So
This would be for
I-
any need we have in the 3 years, and if we don't have a need to spend all the money, then they won't bill us for that amount.
okay, that's okay. That helps me understand that part more. And then, they talked about in their current work, and they cited the contract they have their current on call, and they said they um oh, that they had a 20K not to exceed, but then they said it looked like they were 10K over already. Did we approve additional money for them, or did they go over?
Well, so when Rick Rogers was here, we had them do an on-call contract. I think it was in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Jason came, we gave them an additional amount for on-call services.
Okay. And it wasn't spelled out very well on that resume. Okay, I mean, I agree with everyone else. It was kind of hard to judge this by just getting a number and not kind of understanding how all that was scored and what the bottom line of the cost of all of that. So I would definitely echo a lot of what Director Foltz and Director Smalley said, but that's all the questions that I had.
All right. Brian, please.
Yeah, thank you. I also would have appreciated a total cost table. I found myself scrolling around and adding up and to compare things, and that would have been helpful. The scoring is terrific to have as a summary, but cost is a very important consideration. So I'm struggling with two things. One is related to grant-funded projects. These are grant-funded projects.
Some of them, yeah.
So in my experience with grant-funded projects, there's the prevailing wage requirements. Prevailing wage, will those apply to all this work?
All district projects are prevailing wage.
I see, just across the board.
Yeah, it's public money, so it's prevailing wage. We typically hire labor compliance, so we've hired CCMI.
Yep.
For the tank projects.
Yep.
Now, if district staff's doing a project, I don't think there are prevailing wage requirements, like for P-Vine. If staff ends up doing that, then the rules are a little different.
Right.
But we still might need special inspection,
So
even if our own staff.
what surprised me and concerned me a little bit was that the twining, the Herrick Sinich and the Achievement Engineering proposal specifically articulated that the rates provided were prevailing wage. The twinning did not. And that made me a little uncomfortable that they may be out of compliance or not know what they're talking about. They had the lowest hourly rate, and at any rate, confirming whoever you go with has full prevailing wage compliance rates, because I believe prevailing wage, the hourly rate is in part dictated by the state of California and the prevailing wage requirements.
Yeah, it's dictated by the location of the project. So if you have a project in San Francisco, it's a different prevailing wage than if you're in Sacramento.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, just making sure that we're not getting into a prevailing wage issue
I mean,
because the contractor's not paying attention.
basically what would happen is instead of the rates that are included in their proposal, they would bill us at the prevailing wage rates. They
That's
have
right.
to.
Yes, and that would concern me that we might not get the right price or
I would say it's an on-call service. There isn't a fixed amount. Like for a general contractor, he might bid a fire hydrant at $30,000. Every time he builds a fire hydrant, he gets another 30,000. For these kinds of agreements, we call up and say, "Hey, we're going to pour concrete on Friday. Can you send a guy out?" And they say, "Sure, we'll send a guy out." And they start the clock. And now, if the concrete truck's late by an hour, now it's another hour under special inspector. If the something bad happens and he's caught in traffic for an hour, that's another hour on the special inspector. There's no lump sum. It's an hourly on demand. They make an estimate of what it might cost. They spend up until that limit, and then you either stop work or you give them more money to finish.
the twinning hourly rate is specified in the agreement. And so if they were to bill at a different rate to that, in my understanding, that would be a violation of the agreement.
So we have, I think they list a lot of rates in their proposal.
But it's by service provided. So if they were to perform a specific service and then bill at a different rate, my read of that proposal is that that would violate the terms of a contract based on that proposal. So all I'm trying to say is I want to encourage you to make sure your suppliers are compliant with prevailing wage, because if they're not and things blow up, it's a drag for everybody.
Yeah.
And then the other curiosity I have is that Herrick Kucinich is the engineer of record on the geotech for the design of these sites.
Right.
And as engineer of record, in my experience, customarily engineer of record performs inspection so that if things fail later, you have a single liable entity. And distributing inspection services across a different firm, then if something fails, you get this situation where they're pointing fingers at each other. And I've always been encouraged to, if you're going to have your construction inspection done by a firm, you either go with the engineer of record or you require that inspecting firm to assume engineer of record responsibilities, which means that they have to go back and check all the calcs and assume full responsibility. I've only been in this situation a handful of times. I'm seeing differences of opinion. I'd love to explore that further, but I don't want the district to be exposed to liability risk unnecessarily.
I would say I've seen some, engineer records where maybe they're not qualified to do welding inspection, or they're not qualified to do I don't know, maybe the pull test on the tiebacks, and that's a specialty contractor that comes in to do that task. Usually the county, they have a list of special inspectors that you can pick from and the different items that they're qualified to do.
Right, that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the geotechnical engineer who has signed and stamped the plan, then having a different geotechnical engineering firm verify that they're built to those plans and the exposure risk that creates.
All these are done by certified geotechnical engineers who have to submit it to a certified laboratory to do these testings. So they would not alter the engineer of record in any way.
I see.
And I want to echo similar to what Jason was saying on projects that I've done where these types of services have been necessary. I've put contracts in place for owners where it's a separate contract for this type of specialty testing versus the engineer of record. The engineer of record will need to look at compaction testing results.
Yeah.
If I had two different ones, well, the engineer of record should say, okay, I need X number or spaced at. So, some compaction testing protocol or something like that. And then it's up to would be up to us as the owner to say, okay, here's what we need done. Compaction, testing, firm.
Yeah.
And then just feeding those results back to the geotech. If we think as the owner that that's a more cost-effective way to get those services done.
So under that scenario, Harris Kucinich remains on the project as the engineer of
Yes.
record.
Yeah.
And they do whatever engineer of record
Right.
inspections are required.
If-
But the materials testing contract is sourced to a different.
Right.
Yeah, and the reports would be given to the geotechnical engineer record and like the structural engineer record and the civil engineer, all the different designers.
Yep.
They would receive those reports. And if they had an issue with the report, it would be,
Right.
dealt with, because at the end of the project, the engineer of record is expected to write a letter saying everything was built in
Right.
conformance.
Right,
And-
yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
And so and if you don't have the special inspection report, say you just built it without any special inspection.
Sure.
They
that-
would not give you
Of
that
course
letter.
they would not.
And the engineer of record is different than the geotechnical engineer of record, right?
Sure.
That's
So it's
right.
two different. The engineer of record is the firm that has designed the tanks for us and designed the overall project.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they've probably, or we subcontracted for the geotechnical testing.
Okay. So thank you for helping me understand that. And so the contract proposed is only for these testing services. It is not for the engineer of record to inspect the tanks at foundations.
No, but they're gonna be out there anyway, is what I was trying to
So
say.
there should be some efficiencies.
There will be some efficiencies if they're out there, looking at the drilled hole to make sure that when they pull out the spoils that they're in competent material, and then they're pouring concrete, then he takes a cylinder.
Sure.
But
But that's not reflected in the
Or-
price.
Or
for
you
whatever
can,
reason.
we can have two separate people. One person observes the drill, another guy takes the concrete cylinder.
Right.
That's totally fine.
Okay, thank you. Great. If the technical services are interchangeable and does not compromise our engineer of record issues and the prevailing wage issues are immaterial, then I too don't quite understand the reason to not go with the firm that's 50%, a third less costly, with a total score just indistinguishable from the leading firm.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a lump sum, it's an estimate. So if it turns out it costs 191,000, then we'll have to play twinning 191,000.
I guess the twinning billable rate is half that of Kucinich, which
Nearly so.
makes me.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a couple questions and then we can maybe go around again, okay? Let's see, I was struck that was it Haro HKA, is that right? Their bid, they had the field tech listed at 130, but then in parentheses, prevailing wage was 260. Is the prevailing wage literally 100% extra more?
It depends on the job.
Well, I mean, they had it at that rate.
No, it depends. Every
Okay.
position is different for prevailing.
Okay.
It's set by the state.
Well, so my question, and this, I'm just trying to understand, how does this prevailing wage work? Because
So-
the other guys didn't have a number nearly that high
It
for
has
the
to-
field tech,
It has to do with where the project's located
right?
and then what your specialty is, if you're a carpenter or a plumber or an iron.
Well, a
worker.
field tech,
And then it's a minimum that you have to pay the guys. You can pay them more, but you can't pay them less.
right?
And
No, I
supposed to
understand.
even the playing field for competitive bidding so that you can't come in and pay people $10 an hour.
No, I get
And
that.
everybody else is paying $50 an hour.
I'm trying to get educated here in that maybe the contractors are playing a little bit of a game here, I guess is what I'm getting at. In that, depending upon the category, if it's possible that they could put a guy's title at a much lower price and that can be considered prevailing wage and they can do that, and someone else like HKA says, well, no, that's prevailing wage twice what his normal pay is, because over $30,000 of HKA's bid is due to the field tech because he's spending more time out there than everybody else combined. And so literally that prevailing wage differential is over $30,000. And so I'm just trying to understand, how does that work? And is it really an even playing field, or are some of the players maybe gaming it a little bit? And I don't know, but I'm just trying to understand how it works, because we're obviously going to be up against this time and time again.
I mean, each firm was able to decide how many hours they wanted to attribute to each task and which personnel they would be sending for each task. So it's not really an apples to apples comparison.
So if one firm thinks field tech at prevailing wage of 260 is the right guy, and Twining think that a field tech had a slightly field engineering tech, slightly different title, but he's only 150 an hour. And I presume that all of these are, and this would be a question for them, are all of these prevailing wage? Because if they're not, and they have the legal right to bill us a prevailing wage after they've won the contract, well, I think we would all have a serious problem with that.
Yes.
They have to bill us at prevailing wage.
But does it have to be in the bid? This is the proposal. The contract that we sign, I want that to be at the prevailing wage. I don't want a surprise, $31,000 adder for a guy that wasn't listed at his prevailing wage.
Is this whole thing ready to go?
No,
I thought it was, but I'm thinking
No.
not.
no,
Yeah, just because there's.
no.
Jason, do you have any thoughts on this prevailing wage issue? Because I'm really kind of confused about how it works.
I don't want to speculate as to what contracts.
Don't speculate.
Do
but-
we need to answer that question tonight? I don't think so. I think the question that we need to answer tonight is,
We can reach out and make sure that the bids are apples to apples.
No, but I am asking just a generic question, because we're going to have this contract issue over
Yeah.
and over again
Yeah.
with all the work we're doing over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
How does it in general supposed to work?
We can get a table from the state of California that says what these prevailing wages are
Okay, by job title
by job title.
and then location. Okay.
When we
but-
get the bids that they're comparable.
right, but does that obligate the firms?
No,
No.
that obligates their minimum, doesn't obligate.
Okay, that's their minimums. Okay,
But we could use that table and just check it against these
It verifies that they are offering prevailing wages
prevailing wages.
and to answer.
Right. Okay, so if that table had a field tech at 260 and these guys have them at 150,
that's.
there's a problem.
That's their initiative.
Yeah.
They can do that, their prerogative.
I find it hard to believe that prevailing wage would have a field tech at 260, but.
I don't think it would. It may have it at 100, but then all consultants
But
multiply the hourly rate by
I love central
Agreed.
planning.
I think
Yeah,
we,
billing rate's different than what the guy gets paid.
but I think we could speculate that for a while this evening and still not arrive at definitive answer.
Oh, right.
To your question, President,
Yeah.
President Russ, is this ready to go tonight? No.
A quick
No.
search looks like engineering field tech is $120 an hour.
Okay.
Okay, that's a.
And that
sounds to
seems
me like a
reasonable.
realistic rate.
Because the base pay for HKA was 130. And so that's right in there, right? But in the bid, they bid it at 260.
Oh,
So does that
They
mean
gotta
that we
bid
would,
higher too, because you got healthcare and all of that. 'cause
But
that's not
100%?
what- Well, then, yeah, I'm
I
just saying
mean-
why it's not gonna
I mean,
be
it
like.
also
there's
depends on
more.
who they send out. If they send out the principal, it's a different
Right.
rate than if they send out the level 4 engineer, or if they send out, the.
well, then they have to bill it whatever that person's rate is, but they have the rate of the field tech at 260, which is the same as
So,
the top engineers.
so,
Yeah, so I think we're hearing a little,
When we did the urban water management plan, that was what cost some of the other firms, is that they had their chief person doing a lot of the work.
um, do you think, Jason, that you and staff have heard enough questions from the board
I think we need to know where we need to go.
to bring a more complete evaluation of this to a subsequent board meeting? Or do you need to hear a further round of the questions?
I do not.
Okay,
I
okay,
did have one other question that I think is maybe worth it going back to staff and asking this question of the contractors, which has to do with travel. I noticed that in the bids that they gave, they all talk about I forget, like a home territory, typically 30-mile radius from where they're based out. I would I think it's definitely worth a call back to each of these guys, at least the top three. What is your travel policy? If you're coming all the way from Concord to here, and that's an hour and a half, 2 hours, well, that's a huge extra amount. Have they really built that into the bid? You know, is that really in the bid? Because that would be, if they're here for a day and then they have 4 hours of travel on top of that, you know,
Add up.
add it up. And is it overtime too? Right? Yeah. So maybe just to get a little bit more clarity from especially the two guys that are far away. And then ask Harold about the prevailing wage, ask all of them about prevailing wage. Because it was just really striking how field tech costs the same as their top engineer. And maybe, you know, I don't know, I can't explain it, so I just pass it on. Okay. And that's the end of my comments. Are there any other comments from directors about just adding to the direction that we would like to hear about? That Jason and staff can take with them. All right, I'm good. We're all good. Okay. All right. Thank you, Garrett. That I think we're moving on now to.
Do we have to offer? I don't see any hands up from the public,
Right.
Oh, yes, thank
but
you.
we still have to,
Thank you.
so.
Right, and no one here. Okay, thank you
Right.
for making sure I don't disappear on them. All right, then we're moving on to the 5 mile hazard mitigation.
And that is our environmental programs manager, Chris Clark.
Yeah, thank you. So the district is seeking to begin the restoration of its 5 mile pipeline. And the first step in the process is clearing approximately 650 to 700 hazardous trees from the pipeline trail. To mitigate these hazard trees, the district has pursued contracting the grant-funded CCC Forestry Corps crew to complete the work. That's the California Conservation Corps. They did a great job completing the same exact work on the Peavine pipeline, and they provide a great value for the price. The hazard tree work was originally contemplated to have been paid by the district ourselves and then reimbursed by FEMA. And that's the same way that Peavine was. However, the district received a CAL FIRE fire prevention grant in February 2026. And the scope of that grant includes the hazard tree mitigation, as well as a shaded fuel break on a portion of the pipeline. This 2.2 mile shaded fuel break, along with fuel breaks along a few access roads, will help protect the Lion Water Treatment Plant, the town of Boulder Creek, and provide access for fire crews in case of fire. The fuel break will be implemented simultaneously with the hazard tree mitigation as they work their way along the trail. So they'll take care of the hazard trees and they'll also do the shaded fuel break at one time as they kind of work their way along. The CCC will be providing approximately $630,000 in labor free to the district through their grant-funded crew. And we use this labor amount in the grant as our match. And so through that, we essentially expect all of the costs for this project to be fully reimbursed by the CAL FIRE grant, and we shouldn't be out any money ourselves. So I'll just briefly walk through the three contracts that are included. First up is the CCC. This is a $111,000 contract to implement the hazard tree mitigation and shaded fuel break. And essentially they'll just be using chainsaws and pole saws out there. It's all handwork. And they'll just be lopping and scattering the biomass. And as I mentioned, it's $111,000, but they'll be providing $630,000 of labor for that. Next up, we have the Powers contract. So this one is for $12,000 approximately, and it is for developing project specifications, providing oversight for the CCC crew out there, as well as monitoring compliance with all environmental regulations. And also, it's been about a year and a half maybe since he did the hazard tree kind of marking of the ones that they should remove. So it'll also allow him to get out there and mark any additional hazard trees that have kind of become in that condition since then. And last, I have the Harris Amendment. So they already have a pre-existing contract for the 5 mile hazard tree mitigation. But this is a $25,000 amendment, which will bring the total not to exceed to about 115,000. And the reason for this amendment is that we need nesting bird surveys, archaeological review, and project management, which comes along with it. The project was originally planned to occur starting in the fall and running through the winter, which is outside of nesting bird season. But because the project is now, we're hoping to start in May, next month. That's smack dab in the middle of nesting bird season. And so nesting bird surveys will be required. So that's the main reason for the amendment. And lastly, I just wanted to cover a few costs that are not included in these 3 contracts. So we have rent for camping space because the CCC need to camp somewhere. So that is not included in this contract or in these contracts. We have portable restrooms and pumping for the crew as they're camping out there. And then another one is, and this was not noted in the memo, a contractor to treat the access roads. These are all items that are covered under the grant, but just are not included in this set of contracts and haven't been contracted for yet. I'll also note that the contractor for treating the access roads will do that outside of nesting bird season, and so we won't have to get nesting bird surveys for that. And with that, I will take any questions.
Okay, just a couple real quick clarifications for all of us. What are the approximate costs of the campground rental, the porta potty? And you're saying that those are all they will be covered by the grant, just for our identification.
Yeah. So we're looking at about maybe 40,000 for rent for the camping ground, and that's over the course of 8 months.
Wow. Okay.
Which is this project is planned to take 8 months.
Okay.
Bathroom rentals maybe 10,000, something like that.
Okay.
And the contractor, I do not know, but we have something like 280,000, I want to say, in the grant. So yeah,
Okay.
but
And you haven't got a bid for that, or you
No.
just? Oh, okay.
we don't want to start the project until after nesting bird season. So like after September, essentially. So we have a little bit.
Oh, some time. Okay. And the only other question I had for all of us is the 900 or the 650 trees. Is that on the over the full 5 mile or just 2.5 mile?
Yeah, that's over the full 5
The
months.
full 5 mile. Okay, thank you. All right, Brian, would you please start us?
I reviewed this and I actually don't have questions. I have a little uncertainty or anxiety about the availability of the Cs and whether they'll show up and be there for the duration. Sometimes they're really hard to get to stick around, and then there's they're pulled away by fires and other projects, and it can be unpredictable. And so I guess I would just encourage you in developing this to make sure that the other contractors are prepared to be flexible and show up when the crew is on site. But other than that, I'm not surprised by the scope of work or cost profile.
Okay, thank you. Alina, please.
You answered one of my questions because one of them was like it's read in there that the work was going to be being done outside of nesting bird season, but we were increasing the cost for that, and you explained that. So that was my big question. I guess my only other thing is there any worry about sudden oak disease or spreading that as they're moving along this?
Not really. I mean, most trees that would be affected, I think cutting them down isn't necessarily, we're not like hauling any biomass off site. So anything that is already infected on site is essentially just staying on site. It's just being scattered.
Yeah, it's moved around though by the soil and on the bottom of your shoes. And so if you have any areas out there that you do know that there is some sudden oak death, it is advised, I think it just spraying the shoes with alcohol. If you're just, moving from one area to the next, that that it is an issue. So,
Our forester hasn't identified any of that, but that
Okay.
is good to know. If we do identify some of that, we can implement a protocol like that.
okay. And I'm surprised you found a campground around here. That's
Yeah, well, Camp Creme.
Campground.
Oh,
Yeah, campground,
that's
right.
right. So,
Unfortunately.
that's right.
Yeah. Right.
So, okay, yeah.
Unfortunately available.
Yeah, I know. I live right across from them, so yeah. All right. Well, that's nice. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Mark, please.
So when will the CCC work take place? Is that this year that you're looking at, or is that next year? Because I was confused on
Next month is what we're shooting for.
next month.
Yeah.
Okay. So when will the cultural resources survey be completed? Because to me, that seems like a gating item before you can go do the work that they're looking at those areas for.
Yeah, so this is kind of a precursor, I would say, to the next portion of the project. So we're also doing this cultural review is also covering the next portion, which is rebuilding the pipeline. And so essentially the two regions that they're looking to add to the cultural are the landing zones, where similar to Peavine, where we're dropping pipe and then flying it in. So essentially, we're doing that review now. It's somewhat ahead of the project schedule,
Right. Okay.
but we've identified that that's a need, and so
So you don't need cultural when you're
Or-
just felling trees.
well, we've already done the cultural for the pipeline
For the
because
Right.
we've already
For the
yeah. You don't need to like do it again because we already did it.
for the work that you want to kick off with CCC in May.
Yeah.
You don't need the cultural survey.
Correct.
Is
We
that
already
correct?
have the cultural that we need.
Right. You are looking ahead to some point in the future when we might do more overland pipe work similar to Peavine out here on this 5 mile extension.
Right, which is scoped in Harris's contract is the permitting for that as well.
Right.
So essentially this should cover us for that.
But it was my expectation that we would be looking at Peavine's work all in costs, labor, implementability, as a first step to go do any of that other 5 mile pipeline necessary work, which includes, okay, go do this cultural for the landing zones. And also looking at the cost benefits of do we want to go all the way out there to get that last location reestablished for water intake from a how much water is it providing? So should we be doing that cultural survey now? Because it's not needed for this project. You're looking in the future. Should it be done when we get to a point of, yes, we do want to go ahead with that? Because we haven't talked about that overall aspect of doing that work as a project yet.
I would say that Harris is scoped to do this and they are moving forward with that review. And so this is kind of
the cultural
outlying piece of that.
But wait, the cultural.
The entire environmental review.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a little bit is culture. I think the subcontract is like 7,000. So
Is the
Oh,
addition.
yeah, it's just a piece of it. Yeah. Most of it is other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. And the funds for this, I think 148,000 that I see you presenting. It's grant funded.
It will be reimbursed by the grant.
Okay, it will be
100%.
reimbursed.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, those are my questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bob, please.
The amount of regulation is staggering. It's no wonder California can build anything. I don't really have any questions, Chris. I think you did a good job on covering it and putting this together. I think this is a good project. My sort of meta question, which we can still do the hazard tree removal, is whether or not we really do want to replace the pipeline to Sweetwater. Sweetwater accounts for 10% of surface water of the North System, which in the overall grand scheme of things is probably more like 2 or 3% of our total system. And assuming that our negotiations or EIR or both on water rights are proceeding at a reasonable pace, I recognize Sweetwater is a pre-1914, but that actually may be a nice discussion point for somebody, because that's a lot of ground to cover from Clear Creek to Sweetwater Creek.
But if that doesn't influence this, it's a further.
Well, we are going to do hazard tree removal.
Okay, yeah.
Right. But you know, just because we're doing hazard tree removal on it doesn't mean we have to replace the pipeline.
I agree with you.
And our costs are basically zero.
Well, I mean, I would say, given Brian's comment about the CCC and the fact that they could get pulled away, I don't know which end you're starting at, but you know, maybe Sweetwater's done last.
I agree. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So, you know, the from Clear Creek to Sweetwater Creek's done last.
The most costly place to get water out of these along that 5 mile is Sweetwater.
Yeah.
Doing that one last.
Yeah. So I'm just from a strategic point of view, I'm just hoping we got our eyes on the ball here and really are thinking longer term about how all of this work that you're putting together, Chris, actually factors into what we really want to have as a system when it's all done. Years from now. Okay. Other than that, I don't have any other concerns about the deal.
Thank you, Bob. I think most of my questions have been answered. I just had one, again, just trying to understand how this works. I noticed that in there, and maybe this is part of the CCC bid, that there was staff overtime of 48,000 and then other expenses of 62. What are those?
So that's essentially just how this particular crew bills it. So all of their staff labor is covered by their grant, but essentially staff overtime because they're camping out there for like a week or two straight.
I see.
And then the other expenses includes things like chainsaws for the work, any other type of equipment, food for when they're camping out there, camping setup. They're bringing their own shower trailer. So that,
okay.
Yeah, kind of a broad range of things, but yeah.
All right. No, thanks for the explanation, because I just didn't know what that really meant. And so however they divide it up, at the end of the day, they've got their 600,000 and this is how they want to divide it up. All right. That's great. All right. Any other, any comments from the remote or public? No? Any other comments from any other directors following this line? No? Okay. Well, I think we should move forward on this. I would like to make a motion to see, here it is. I move that the board directs the general manager to enter into agreements for the 5 mile hazard tree mitigation and shaded field break projects with the CCC, the California Conservation Corps, for $110,956.26, Powers Forestry for $11,920, and an amendment with Harris and Associates for $25,254, increasing the not to exceed amount from $89,831 to $115,085.
Second.
President Russ,
Yes.
Vice President Lane,
Yes.
Director Larday,
Yes.
Director Smalley,
Yes.
and Director Phelps.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chris. All right. I think we are now moving on to, let me just double check here. I think district reports.
Consent.
Oh, consent agenda, board minutes. Thank you. Okay. Any comments or edits on the board minutes that were shown in the file? Anybody? Okay, then we will consider that accepted. And now district reports. So are you up, Sherry or Jason?
I think maybe if we just have questions.
Just questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, that's right. It's in the packet. I just had a quick question. I know you've heard from us in the past about trying to get as much of our money sitting there in interest-bearing accounts. Do you know approximately then what is the amount that we just have sitting in a checking account, kind of this last month?
It ranged from 200 to 500.
Okay. And that's a comfortable range for you to feel like you're not, you know,
Yeah, I think 500 might be a little bit high. But we also did a check run today, so I want to, look at the check run and see that amount, and then maybe we'll do a transfer next week.
okay, great. I just was curious kind of where we were. So we have, I guess, all of the other the reserves and whatnot. So everything else is in interest-bearing accounts. Right? Okay. Yes, I forget the number, but it's 15 million or something. Okay. Very good. All right. That was my only question. Any questions from other directors? Bob?
I had that one too. But
Okay.
glad you asked it. So I think we might be hitting 6.5 million for the year if everything sort of
Hey,
continues.
that's your magic number.
Well, that's your magic number.
Well, it's my magic number. Okay.
So
It's our number.
so if I take the period ended 2/28/26 actuals for total revenue, subtract the operating expenses, and then subtract the investment in Santa Margarita, and divide that by 0.67, I get 6.542. Yep, 6.542 million, which would achieve. Now that's assuming that everything continues at, straight line increase. So that would actually be a really good accomplishment for the year. So I'm assuming that you and Jason are keeping a very close eye on making sure we hit that number, because that's key to the model that Bob put together,
And it's key for our underwriters too.
and key for the underwriter.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I didn't have any other questions at this time.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments from other directors?
No,
No, you're all good? Okay, thank
you
you.
have to go out to public to say comment.
And yeah, any comments from the public?
Nobody with their hand
No?
up.
Gage, how are you? Did you have? I wasn't sure if you were wanting to say something or if you're all good.
It's good. It's good to get to say hi.
Okay, very good.
I
Thank you.
did.
All right. And I think that wraps up tonight.
We haven't adjourned yet.
No.
I can still ask the,
Yeah.
and since I don't know where on this,
Future
I'd
agenda.
like to see the board policy manual back or on next meeting's agenda.
Okay.
It's now been 2 months. It was my hope that was agreeing, yes, the two of you could go back and that we would have had it by now.
We turned it in for legal review 2-3 weeks ago.
Yes.
Do you, I want to say 3 weeks, but it's,
Okay.
yeah,
It's been a little bit.
Yeah.
I understand.
just a little bit.
I'm making that request. I don't think I need to formalize it at this point. So, okay, I'll leave it at that.
There are several outstanding agenda item requests.
Yes.
That is one of them.
And so Gage, just to make sure you heard that may be resting with you folks.
Do we have your? Yeah, I'm going through. And I apologize if anything is behind. one of our associates, I don't want to say too much, but is out for an extended period. But I'm picking up everything he was working on. And that is likely on the list.
We could have a call with them if that would help.
Yeah, we can get together tomorrow, Gage, if you have time, talk about it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, because, yeah, a lot of work's been put into it by basically everybody. So that would be great if you can take a look, see what your schedule is and coordinate with Jason.
Sounds good. Jason,
I
I'll
think-
send you an email.
I think that's important why we should have a line item on here like we do for the committees. So this is agendized. Otherwise, I fear even talking about this since it's not on the.
We got a line item with outstanding feedback.
Or, you know, just the being able to bring forward.
Yeah, no, I
Like,
think it's a
yeah,
great idea.
we had it for a bit and then it disappeared.
Right.
Just
And
sort
just as a reminder for anybody that wants to bring in up a new agenda item.
Right.
Just so it's there and before we adjourn.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other new agenda items?
Well,
Or-
I think,
or agenda items that
I think we've already stretched the agenda.
I agree.
here.
Yeah.
If there's any other agenda items that people want to do, they should submit them to you and Jason as we normally do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then I think we're good tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Hope you have a good evening. We are adjourned. Thank you.
And Bob, one of them that I will be submitting is the elimination